is. Boys the sails. Here we go. Ahoy, crypto pirates. Welcome to your Discord syndicates FN Hangout. Why is the FN Hangout? Because it's a Friday night. And I am your captain, the Captain RG3, bringing it to you one more Friday night after Friday night after Friday night after Friday night, after everybody else left you, after everybody else went and hibernated for the bear market. I stayed here. I stayed with you. I heard that story one time. Tell you guys that one day. Maybe that'll come out in my memoirs or something. Anyway, welcome all. Thank you for coming. Thanks for being here. I know there's a lot of places you can be on a Friday night, and I especially appreciate you coming and sharing it with me. Now, for those of you who don't know, this is your show. It means you get to come onto the show, state your case, give us feedback, bust on us. Here, I'm going to paste the link in the chat room in the comments there. If you want to come and chat with me. Bunch of Hexicans are already out in Europe having a good time. Hexican guys and gals. I've lost my producer to it. If you guys haven't seen, they're all out there in Malta having a big Hexican party with a lot of the, the bigs, the guys that have been around for a long time. Wasn't able to make it out there myself. I wish I could, but they too long in Europe. I'm going there in a few weeks, and I'm going to be there for like a whole month. So it's going to be a rough go. Anyway, let me say hello to everybody in the chat room. We've got DJ Bomber coming in hot first. How you doing, DJ Bomber? Good to have you. One Hexy Mofo. What is up with the FN Hangout or the FN Hexicans? 2. What's up, Torzy? Ahoy to you, my man. Ahoy. Oh, the Mo, folks, is here. We are being graced with another streamer from the, he goes all the way back to the Icosa Hedron days, and now he's leaning into the GIF community. What an amazing dude. You should go watch some of his streams. He's really digs deep into the GIF technology and what it's doing. And it's chugging along, guys. It's chugging along just like everything else. Getting blasted. Actually, GIF's doing really well, but everything's just getting hammered again. We see this. We see this. And then when it goes, it goes. And things change. So keep a watch and Relax Finance. Who pays for the PulseChain tour? Well, Relaxed Finance. That would be me. I'd pay for it. When the Hexicans come and pay for the tickets, it sometimes takes care of the venue and the food and stuff for them. And but it's really a goodwill tour. It's really outreach. It's really us learning how to get out and do in-person outreach. And in the bull market, it really moves well. But it's been 2 years of touring in a bear market, so it's been really rough. And yes, the captain foots the bill for most of it. But it's not because it needs to make money. It needs to do what it's doing. It needs to be there. It needs to be something that we do. We have to make outreach. We have to get in front of people. And my hopes are that one day, with all the work that we've done, that we will fill up stadiums to talk to people about real DeFi and what Richard's done here. So that's my hopes and aspirations for the PulseChain tour. But as of now, it breaks even. It does all right and takes care of the expenses and we get a lot of onboards from it, and we get a lot of networking opportunities to network with other Hexicans who have skills that we've all combined together to create things to help the ecosystem grow. And that's what it's all about, is going out and doing your thing. And your thing is your thing, period. My thing is my thing. This is what I do. You don't like it, fuck you. I don't care. This is what I've been doing, and I think it's working pretty decent. From my end, other people go out and do their thing and do what they want to do and try and make the ecosystem better. Who else is in here? Cost of adoption. Yes, sir. We got Kool-Aid. What's up, Kool-Aid? Hey, ladies and gentlemen, we have crypto royalty here with Crypto Kool-Aid, one of the systemic designers of the GIF technology and what it's doing. You'll try to get muted. Oh, are they having a little back and forth? Yep, a little bit. So anyway, all kinds of cool stuff going on. We've got political shit happening. We got people leaning into crypto on all sides of the political sphere because it's an election year, and all of a sudden they don't want to ignore us anymore. Wow. Imagine that. BlackRock buys all the Bitcoin, and now all the politicians want to lean into crypto a little bit. Think about that one for a little bit, guys. Think about that one for a little bit. Because you all know, right, that crypto pirates and cypherpunks don't own Bitcoin no more. They sold it. They sold it all to BlackRock, baby. BlackRock got your Bitcoin. They got your Bitcoin. What they gonna do with it? They sold out, guys. They sold out. And now guess what they're getting ready to do? Oh, they're getting ready to sell out your Ethereum too. Watching that move in the OTC trades. People are buying it up by the hundreds of millions, guys. Unless somebody's just transferring $100 million worth of ETH a couple, 3-4 times a day, which is usually what people do. They move $100 million worth of ETH between wallets and unknown wallets and into exchanges and out of exchanges and stuff like that. Hundreds of millions of dollars. It happens. There is something afoot, and your Ethereum is next. They're coming for your Ethereum. Be careful. Yep. That's what's happening, guys. That is what's happening. So we're going to probably see in the next, who knows, few weeks to a month or so, Ethereum boom up when all these people start to realize that all these OTC trades are going on and BlackRock or whoever it is scooping all that shit up. They'll own it. They'll own it. Just like they, did to the stock markets and all that stuff. And man, this roaring kitty dude does not know how to wear a bandana. Bro, just check out my show. You look like a tennis nerd from the freaking 80s. Or is that what you're going for? I don't know. Anyway, I digress. Give me a call, Roaring Kitty. I'll help you out with your fashion ideas. So back to Ethereum and the usurping of the Ethereum bags. The real beautiful thing about this is that somebody somewhere, I don't know if it's whoever's buying all this Ethereum or what, told the beat the fuck up SEC, beat up SEC. They are beat up. They're closing down offices. They're losing lawsuits, getting sued, getting fined. Oh, what a debacle that's turned into. Oh my gosh. So I don't know if it was them or who, but now all of a sudden Ethereum's okay. Like to have an ETF. Just a few months ago, it was like, oh, hell no, Ethereum. We'll be lucky to see Bitcoin get anything this year. And bam. Rolled over. It's all done now. So Ethereum is now not a scaredy. Therefore, the thing that is identical to it, its twin cousin, brother, sister, PulseChain must be looked at in the same way because it is a fork of Ethereum. Isn't that awesome? Isn't that cool? I think that's really freaking cool. So they just gave carte blanche to Ethereum, and then by default gives that to Hex, to PulseChain, and then gives eyeballs to Hex and all that good stuff. So things are looking really, really good going into this opening of this bull market. Richard's been dropping breadcrumbs out there. Saw a couple of his tweets today. He's speaking along the lines of some of the things I've been trying to do. So now on top of, Twitter and meeting with all of you guys out in PulseChain tour and doing the streaming, I do public outreach here in my big state of California because there's lots of people here. I figure what a great place for in between all of this for me to go out and create outreach myself. And so how are we doing that? And I'm going to pass along some new trade secrets that I don't know, maybe you might want to pull this off in your town or whatever. But I noticed there's a business model out there that is in need of crypto badly. it's really in need of Hex. It's really in need of understanding crypto. And it's really in need of, onboarding tools and some good faith, meaning some people to come in and actually speak to them and give them some resources to onboard. So I teamed up with a buddy of mine who happens to own a hair care company, nice size hair care company. And he services personally, he goes out and services a bunch of clients out here in Southern California. And he's one of my onboards, my buddies. And just recently we onboarded him. And he asked, he came up with an idea and said, hey, man, I go to all these salons, all these girls, all these independent, they're entrepreneurs, they're independent contractors, basically. And he goes, would you, if I set up a meeting like you do on your PulseChain tour, if I set it up at a salon, and would you come there and do your thing? I was like, yeah, of course I would. So he goes, because these girls could really use, retirement plan. They could really use a Hex staking ladder. They could really use some stuff like that, because they're all kind of quasi, entrepreneur business owners. They rent their space. They use the electricity and the water and everything from the place that they're, kind of renting their spot from, and that they run their own businesses and they handle their clients, and then they pay rent and all that. So really kind of a cookie cutter kind of business model. You learn how to do hair, and you work for somebody who owns or you work in a shop that somebody else owns and whatnot. But then you don't have retirement plans. They make good money, but a lot of them don't put away and save and all that kind of stuff. So it was like the perfect scenario to go in and do the presentation, talk to people about, Hex and whatnot. So then I found a very interesting business model with my personal trainer that I go and see, 4 or 5 times a week. And it's the same situation there. So I got my mind kind of running, and same thing. Gym owner has, the gym that I go to, you can only go there if you have one of the personal trainers as your trainer. But it's the same kind of model as a hair salon. So these people are independent contractors. They don't have a, retirement plan. They heard of crypto. Some of them even have Robinhood, but they don't understand real DeFi and real crypto and what it means and how to utilize it. And so I started talking to my trainer, Dean, and I said, hey, dude, man, how about this? And he was all for it. He's like, oh, this is great. We can run it right here in the gym, and we can start doing some other things with some of the other gyms that are doing it. So now I found a model where there's people that are in need of Hex that we can go out and do outreach in. And it's inexpensive, because the gym owners and the hair salon owners yeah, come right on in, teach my people how to do this. We'll even invite people from other salons. So just kind of outreach like that, things like that people can do, and go help folks that are looking for a better way to do this thing. Because let's face it, the IRAs and this screwy ass stock market. No offense there, Kitty, Mr. Roarer. But all that shit's screwy, man. Not that crypto's much better, but I think that DeFi is going to find its way, and we're going to see things start to stabilize eventually. I don't know if it's going to be anytime soon. And I think that's everybody's hopes, actually, because, when it's wild like this, you get mad gains. And if you can deal with the downside, then, you get the positive, the mad gains, and you can stomach the downside. A lot of people aren't stomaching the bear market, though. That's, I think, the big problem. And that's why we've got the vitriol and the angriness and the pissed off and the butthurt out there today, is because of this elongated bear market. But don't worry, guys. This too shall pass. This too shall pass. All right. Well, again, like I said, this is your show, not mine. I'm just here to push the button. Always have been just here to push the button and help guide some discourse along the way. But the invite code is here. It's here for you. And let me put it back in there in the chat room. So let's see if we got any questions in, because right now we got nobody in the green room. We We got nobody in agreement. Everybody's out doing good shit on a Friday night, which I'm all for. I'm glad people are out there putting their feet in the grass or out on the streets or whatever, cutting it up. Good on you. Today was like a perfect day here in Southern California. It was just sunshine, chilling in the backyard with my kid. You know, summertime. He's not in school. We were just chilling, hanging out. Oh, it was awesome. Watermelon, man. God, I love me some watermelon. I don't know where that came from, but something about some ice cold watermelon in the backyard hot sun. Oh, it's freaking gorgeous. Gorgeous. Robert Kelleher, what's up, dude? Showing up in the chat room. Good to see you, man. Long time no chat. You got that right. Kool-Aid's talking about he might be coming in. So maybe we'll chat with Kool-Aid a little bit. Yeah, man. Good to see you, Robert. Been a long time. You've been MIA here, buddy. Good on you. Good on anybody that's taking some time off. You know, like I was looking at at all the pictures from Randy and SJ and Vets and all them and Hexy Bastard. They're all out there in Malta having a great time. It's like, oh, I wish I was there hanging with them because that's a good crew. And anytime you can go hang out with some Hexicans, it's a good crew. Good crew, good fun. And Malta, what a beautiful place that is. I guess that's like another crypto haven, tax benefits, all that. But I think you've got to pay Malta like a pretty hefty amount and have a house there. I don't know. Portugal might be another really good option, I think. So I'm gonna take a look at Portugal when I'm out there this time. But yeah, everybody is out there having a good old time. Rock Edison, what's happening? Welcome to you. SMO Spider. Well, why don't you show up in the green room? I see you on the chat rooms over there on the GiffTEC and run around in here now. Good to have you. Why don't you jump in? Some got e-passports. Yeah, I think what's cool about Portugal is it's not you don't need to show your passport, or your passport isn't monitored going in and out through Europe. So anyway, there's some little some European nations don't require you to, run your passport as you go through, or something like that. And I think Portugal is one of them. I'm not sure about Malta. I don't think Malta is, but I know that Portugal is one of those countries that doesn't. Let's see. Rock, come up. I'll be here in a sec, sir. Oh, now he's changed to Lawrence. Yeah, and anybody else, again, this is your show. Come on in and come hang with us. Let's see, what else do we got? Okay. And the room is like a dungeon here for that. Maybe I will soon, though. Appreciate it. Has probably got a few things to say. You could just turn your camera off. You don't have to come in with your camera. So you don't have to show us your face. That's fine. Some of you who I know, when you're brand new and you come up here, I try and say, hey, let me see who you are, so I know you got clothes on at least or something, or you're not gonna do, So yeah. What else? What else is going on this week other than starting to see like Hexo come back to life and start streaming again? That's always good. I love it when Hexo's out there. He brings that comic relief, because I'm not funny. I ain't funny at all. I was just talking to my friend, Crypto Wonder, today, just about that issue. It's like, everybody's like, okay, old man gets cantankerous and angry and yells at the wall and all this stuff. But when when it comes down to it, what it really is is I don't have time to bullshit around anymore, and my time is valuable, and I don't like pissing it off and with dick memes and pornographic stuff and hypersexualization of crap. I mean, I never really have understood all that. I don't know what it is about young men and hypersexualizing everything. It's, phallic symbols and stuff all the time. I don't know. It doesn't register with me as like funny. Like my 8-year-old talks about his butt and everything that comes out of it. Like that's he laughs and he's growing out of that now. So it's like, I don't know. I don't have time for that shit. I guess, but I can be funny. I can laugh. I can be lighthearted, but when I'm doing my thing, when I'm getting serious, when I'm trying to convey something, I don't do it in a joking manner. And it's hard for me to take a joke at that time. Yeah. So anyway, you funny looking, maybe. Yeah, probably that's the problem. Far out aliens. Any word on the thing we talked about? Any word on the thing we talked about? Dude, we aren't supposed to, we're not going to talk publicly about any of the things that we talk about, are we? My man, far out aliens. Yeah, man, give me a hint. Maybe I can. Oh, look, we got even little Brissologies in here. We got a little bit of Brissology in here. Are you out of touch? No, it's the kids who are wrong. Yeah, no, it's the kids who are wrong. God damn it. Oh, yeah, and that's why I like talking to people like Crypto Wonder, because he's, he gets it, and he doesn't he feels the same way. Like he doesn't have time to bullshit around, and he says, yeah, I can laugh. He goes, mostly I laugh at myself, and that's how I feel. It's like mostly I'm laughing at myself. I mean, there's plenty of memes, there's plenty of things that I've said and done that have made me look ridiculous or whatever. But that's okay. It doesn't matter. I've done far worse. Luckily, there wasn't cameras and videotape and everything on the internet forever back in those days. Thank God. So I feel like I dodged a real bullet, even when I get, people seeing and saying ridiculous shit about me. But shit, where was I going? I had something I was going to talk about. Oh, Wonder and I were talking, and we got to around a subject that is kind of near and dear to both of us, because we don't understand why the generation is so dismissive of the older generations. I agree that the baby boomers created a mess, created some problems, some issues, some things. But well, looky here. Look who's popping in. But I don't think that the generation that's here today understands that there's a generation in between between the millennials, whatever the fuck is here, Z's and all this other shit. There's a generation in between all of those things called Generation X, where we aren't boomers. We were raised by boomers, and we knew the greatest generation. Like our grandparents were the World War IIs, where there's like 3 or 4 of these people left. My grandfather being one of them at 96 years old. And so we knew them personally. We knew the trials and tribulations and the greatness that they created in this country. And we see, because you don't really like look at your parents and admire your parents. Your parents are your parents, right? You're like, you want to get away from them. And my parents were, well, anyway, they were just, they weren't in my genre of things going on. They were from that hippie generation and all that. And I grew up in a really crappy neighborhood. I mean, I would never take it back. I love the wood, but it was that older generation that I looked to for mentorship, that greatest generation. They mentored me. They gave me my values, my work ethic, those kinds of things. I learned that from them. Like, I didn't read in a fucking book like you kids have to. I learned it from that human being that's still alive today, that I go and feed him and take care of him and make sure he's good to go at 96 years old, because he still lives on his own. Every week out there making sure he's taken care of. And I still, to this day, dig everything I can out of him because of how important that generation was and what they did for this country and what they've done for people. And that's the kind of stuff I'm serious about, is that, man, don't pass up on wisdom, guys. Don't pass it up. I keep telling you all, I learn from all of you, all my partners, all the people I'm around. I'm like a sponge around you guys, because you guys are so fucking smart, man. You guys get this new world that has been handed to us. You guys were born in it. You guys were born with the electronics in your hands, with the mathematics in your head and all that shit, And, but don't ever forget that there's wisdom and knowledge to tap into in generations that have come before you. And a little bit of consideration, a little bit of appreciation, a little bit of help, a little bit of reciprocation of understanding goes a long way. And you can get a lot from that. Because if you guys don't get it from us, if you guys don't pick what we get grabbed from those other generations, the good stuff, if you guys don't get it, then it's going to be lost. And you guys are going to be lost without that, because there's some important stuff in there. You got to read in between the lines, though. And it's not just something you can read out of a book. It's something that you've got to understand, learn, and get from the people around you. And like I said, I learned from you guys. So if I was you, I'd start learning from the people that have been around a little while longer, that understand some things about life. All right. We've got some people in the green room. I'm going to change the subject, because now it's time to, this one's going to get weird. It's just going to get weird. We got a little bit of goat. We got a Kool-Aid.
Speaking of wisdom, here I am.
Hi. So I'm split in between working on another box, so I'm going to be looking around doing crazy stuff on the day job. But good to see you, Briz. Good to see you, Mr. Nipples, and Mr. Rock Edison, one of our other game devs of Hexico, other game devs of GiffTEC, and a mod of GiffTEC. Please come on up, my dear friend. He is a incredibly smart mofo. Incredible.
Let me bring him
Did
up.
you just
here.
say the real Slim Shady, please stand up?
I did.
Yeah, we're the real Rock Edison. Please stand up. What's up, Rock? How you doing, man? Good to have you.
Hello.
How are you, buddy?
Yeah.
Hey, I'm good. Rich, what's up, man? Good to see you.
Yeah, it was nice meeting you the other day. We didn't get a real cordial introduction, but we did get to meet in one of our meetings the other day. Good to see you.
Yeah, we've met before, but you met so many
long time ago.
probably hard to remember everybody you come up against.
74 years ago in crypto years.
Or 3,000 years in game dev years. So it all works the same way.
Yeah. So what's happening? What's up, Briss? How you doing, baby?
I wanted to come on and mention a business idea that I had years ago, and I want to give it away to all of the FN Hangout, to all 36 people that are watching live. Because you were talking about the nail salon and those ladies needing a retirement plan. Yeah. And the business idea works very, very well along that idea. And this is the idea, is that basically you're going to become a door-to-door salesman, business to business. And what you do is you walk into the business and you just ask them if they accept crypto. And 9 times out of 10, 9.9 times out of 10, they're going to say, no, we don't even know what crypto is. And then that's where you go and go, all right, well, I'm offering a service where I help set your business up to just basically receive cryptos as payment. And, you can bring in like a $50 tablet, as part of the sales pitch, and you go, look, I set you up with wallets, I set you up with your Coinbase account, and I teach you how to get on and off and where to and how to accept the crypto basically. And if we had people doing this all across the country, just hitting up small businesses, and if you can just get, one or two people to be like, all right, yeah, let me do that. It's a tax deduction for the business. You just basically tell them, hey, it's like accepting cash and credit card and checks, and it's just another way to accept money. um and yeah, so if we just did that, I think we can make adoption spread like wildfire.
I don't disagree with you at all there, Briz. And the one thing that brought me back into the fold way back in the day was the captain being blue collar, like I was when I was a truck driver or a rent-a-cop or all the rest of that, and reaching out to those people that have no interest, knowledge, or motivation to move through the three small hooks, which takes you to get to the confusion level, the adoption level, and the understanding level. It's a lot of hoops, but when you do it at the blue collar, the grassroots level, it will have much more fundamental wealth importance to those people, because again, the hairdressers work hard, don't get paid the best money, but they also have to deal with the ebb and flow of market conditions, just like anything else. And I think that's vastly valuable while you're thinking about those particular type of things. And I don't disagree with you at all. Almost like doing not MLMs, but just mailers and all that stuff we dealt with in the traditional sense back in the latter or early and latter 90s, CompuServe, AOL, all the cup holder days where no one knew what the internet was.
Yeah, to me, what you're doing is you're providing them a service of knowledge. You're helping them condense all of the time it takes to learn everything, and you're like, boom, here it is, and it's going to be a small fee, but to those guys, if you can charge, $500 to $1,000 per onboard. And the cool thing too is like later on, like you get them all set up, you're gonna have to do a whole bunch of work to be able to make sure that they're completely set up and there's no like leaky boat like holes where like, oh, I forgot to teach them about this. But later on, even if they still have questions, you can actually charge them a consulting fee. Go, hey, look, I can talk to you on the phone, but it's like $75 an hour because, I got all these other guys that I have to help out too.
Yeah, well, on top of that, they become actual crypto knowledge use cases that actually onboard other things. It's again those cyclical loops that I talk about. And so, like, if they have to learn it for their business, and they have to learn it to understand why it's a better retirement plan than putting it into stock, into bonds, into all the rest of it, and it's just not scary because you took that time to do it. I keep kicking myself in the dick hard that when Bitcoin was $1 and screwing around with all the rest of that, I was sitting on 16 video cards and multiple render farms to work on my film, and I wasn't using them all the time. So Richard on his 2 video cards, it's cute, all things considered, but like he took that time to put that time in. And if I would have realized that the crazy shit I was going through at that exact moment in time wasn't as important as spending 1 hour a week learning this, I would have deployed my entire render farm setup. Hell, I would have put something on the school I was on that's Pixar-based RenderMan render farms to get that on. I would have done all sorts of stuff. Same thing happened in 2012, 2013. Bitcoin's $1,000. I didn't realize that it was a fractionalized asset because I hadn't done 4 hours worth of homework. But I mean, the knowledge was recluse back then as well. You had to put a little more time in, and that's where you get the gains in putting those time in early. And now we still have that importance value going to blue collar, all the rest of those things. That just a little bit of explanation was given, they would be more palpable to understand what is going on in real time, whether that's for their business to business transaction and then for themselves. that it's not just some weird fad, which is what most people don't understand the difference of.
And that's the other thing too. This whole business idea is that it's going to be easier and easier to do as time comes on. Because like 3 years ago, if you went to like just a small business, and you're like, hey, do you accept crypto? And they're gonna be like, you better get out of here. Versus now, you can be like, look, Wall Street is in it. You got BlackRock. You got all these banks. You know, you got politicians fighting for it. It's like this is going to be the way of the future, and I think it's just going to be easier and easier as time goes. And it's like the Lindy effect, right?
Pick up your knowledge on aisle 3. Briz knowledge on aisle 3. Please accept your knowledge and continue out of the building. But you're right. Like, it's going to cascade that much faster and faster and faster. And even between all of us here in Hexco and how we've evolved our vocabulary, understanding, throughput, and utility on it over the 4 years that we have, look at how quick those things bind together. I mean, if you look at like the effect that throughout our entire civilization as humans had to go to the Wright brothers. When did the first flight happen at Kitty Hawk? What, like 1903 or some dumb shit like that? 60 years later, we're shooting shit into outer space. Things move incredibly fast. How fast did it take the iPhone, cripple the payphone, the pager, and a landline in general? Just because you have interoperability of the internet, you had the ability to travel and transcend at the same time and use that throughput into perpetuity. Those things are vastly interesting if you look at it on scale.
I was gonna say, I remember when the iPhone first came out, and now we got AI. We're on the brink of AGI.
Well, I mean, like that's what we're doing over at FanForge, and that same throughput is the entire entertainment model from the game side, advert side, cost production, commercial side, and film side is a rolling dumpster fire, and it's going to get worse. But the amount of AI used and how people that were the original bootstrappers, the blue collars of the entertainment industry, now have that throughput to be creators with 4 or 5 man teams. A strike team is what we call it in game dev. And those strike teams can actually output some pretty ingenious stuff. And it's just going to get faster and faster and faster. And you'd be a fool to assume same thing is going to happen not with crypto. Same thing is also going to happen with self-sovereignty. With everyone adopting everything, where does CDBCs go? Where does your retirement go when now they can invest in crypto, but yet you're still not the custodian of your own wallet? We're going to see it move very fast. So getting to that grassroots level, or just inspiring other people from salons, truck drivers, all the rest of those people that will be affected by how the future moves to adopt, and also that it's not scary. Yes, there's a lot of complexity to it, but you can make it as simple or as complex as you want. And also, by the way, OX Coast, I believe, is fully live again. I didn't get a chance to dig into it, but I think I saw it last night or the night before. So that fiat on-ramp into PulseChain, done. Red team go, baby. Stoic and Resolute are dope people.
Well,
Yo, what's
getting
up,
that back up and running, good stuff.
How you doing, bud? Good to see
Hey,
you.
bud. Had to jump at the opportunity to come say hi. Hello, Kool-Aid, RG3. Kinetics, I see you quiet over there. Briz, how you doing?
Hey, hey.
Mr.
Sorry, I'm
Rock?
driving, but it's good to see you, brother.
Yeah, man.
I do believe you may have talked to a dear friend artist about some stuff in content creation. We'll chit chat about that later. He was talking to me about reaching out to someone in crypto, and he's like, "It's compassion." I'm like, "He's family. You're good." So yeah, we'll chit chat later there, good sir. But good to see you. And again,
Yeah.
I'm split on 3 monitors right now. That's not the one I'm streaming on. So if
Right
I'm
on.
doing the rest, I cannot see what's going on.
Yeah, very impressed with them. Very impressed. So thank you. Yep. So how you guys doing tonight? What's shaking in PulseChain?
Life is
Expo?
good.
Just enjoying
Life
the summer.
is good.
Man.
Yeah.
I'm worried
Yeah,
about AI
definitely.
taking all our jobs.
This is true.
That's the first thing it could do is take your job, right, Briz?
They took her
Here's my stark warning to everybody watching. You better get rich in the next couple years before AI takes everything over.
And well, the thing it's a
or learn how to wield the sword.
Yeah, learn AI.
Too.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, that's really what you should be doing if you're worried about it, is learning it.
correct.
Yeah, learn to use a sword and a net. I think that will help a lot against the AI.
No, and that's the gladiatorial way to handle it, right? Blood and sand. You want to have a trident, you want to have a net. So you either need to trap something or figure out how you use it to optimize your workflow so it's working for you. Because if you ignore it, you're going to be a fax machine maximalist, a carrier pigeon maximalist, and all those people are ludicrous, like all of those holding stock and payphones. But I mean,
there's that, and there's the fact that it is so rapidly evolving that you should spend a bit of time every day, whether it's absorbing news. There's some great YouTube channels out there that keep up on developments, or just general usage. Go in and use stuff, test out your different chat AI,
Or
get
or
into
do what
art
I do.
generation.
I train with John Connor. That's what I do.
that's
getting
how
ready
you
for
become a
Skynet.
Terminator, right on top of that, baby.
Mhm.
But
I just
even-
want to also say I fully embrace the AI revolution. I welcome our new overlords.
100.
I'm one of the good ones, by the way.
I say that exactly the same way. It's like jumping out of a good plane when you're talking about skydiving. A perfectly good plane. You have to use the correct term. But yes, I do welcome our Terminator overlords. I am one of the good ones. 3-body problem. I've got you here, buddy. But like
They accept their role as pets to you AI. That's what they're saying.
more importantly, and the real quantifiable thing is that these tools are not going away. Just like the internet is not going away. I mean, you can even
Well, crypto, what if all the electricity turns off in the world? What are you
Yeah,
gonna do?
we got
Bitcoin
some bigger problems than that if the electricity goes out.
that's the whole
Oh,
thing.
wait a
It's like,
minute, ladies and
fuck
gentlemen,
that.
everybody hold the phone. We literally have something to actually make the place look and smell much better, and that is our own crypto stylist.
Crypto stylist.
How you
love
doing?
Hey.
Doing okay. How are you
Carito!
Kinetics, don't call me by one of those millions of nicknames you had for me, all right?
Oh boy.
Can I call you by just one?
Yeah, you can, the memes will come no matter what.
You are the dragon lady because you are a boss. Because you are a boss. There's no doubt about it.
Oh my gosh.
Get you down, boss. How you doing? Good to see you.
Yeah, good. Yes, good to see all of you guys. It was really exciting, the launches with GIF and PLSUD.
Mm-hmm.
USD. It was really, really good. Yeah.
Well,
They burned a
Yeah,
lot.
that I'll tell you what, that community has really taken the reins with it, and they're doing all the right things with the system. If you look at both token prices and how close they are between their ceiling price, like they're using the system exactly as it's designed. I'm very, very impressed.
well, it's
They're
interesting.
Yeah, those guys are very energetic over there. I mean, they are digging in. They're going to be working the system quite efficiently very soon. You can see it.
As intended too, because as the system died, that was the real innovation in between Nob to Noble and PLUSD to stable is to have a dynamic floor and ceiling that also reflexively against that price having the buy and burn. I can't leak anything because only nipples is the leak, but we are very, very, very encouraged on what is happening in real time with people that use the tools correctly. When you want to have the term DeFi for all, it's decentralizing you, yourself, your finance, your ability to understand and what you interact with. And when you build a cyclical system that enables you to do that and it benefits you and it works in real time, the more you learn, the more you actually can dynamically change what you want to believe in, whether that's token price, ability, education, use case, interoperability, and even faith in different types of parameters, which is fascinating.
I think it's super interesting that it's a community that doesn't have a technical leader, you know, and yet they've all banded together. I mean, they have burn parties. They had a burn party yesterday. That's incredible. So yeah, they're super engaged.
No, and that's the coolest thing about it is like we did 2 different tests with that. One with Randy, again, our dear friend, and all the rest of that type of stuff, and one that didn't have a founder, didn't have a messiah to come rally the troops. They just had a message, a mythos that they were looking to build upon, and they're taking that generative narrative and they're running with it. And that is the important way that you suss out what is the future of AI, all the rest of the stuff, because they're both going to be working all together, from how AI is going to do something for you between your narrative and what you want to do, just like Briz was talking about on a business-to-business sales model to get you involved so you get passionate. And how is something successful with passion? If you can each one teach one, tell the people how to use the tools, inspire them to do something different, make something dynamic that they can actually suss out and utilize.
I would add to that, create better tools. More user-friendly tools. Don't make me change tabs 8 times just to do a transaction.
I did some maths, and basically, if we have a community of 10,000, and we all go word of mouth and onboard at least 10 people in the next year, we can turn that 10,000 into 100,000. And if we do it again the next year, we teach everyone to go onboard 10 new people in the year, we can turn that 100,000 into 1,000,000 people. And then we do it for one more year, we can turn 1,000,000 people into 10 million, you know? Or if everyone could just go onboard 30 people, that's all you got to do. Onboard 30 people and your job is done.
Right. Well, I mean,
I should back up and correct what I said earlier. We should continue to build better tools. And by the way, I mean, for me personally, from my point of view, kind of looking at really Hex being the beginning of a financial tool, and then PulseChain coming in and building a set of financial tools that I can work with, and then just even where we have all evolved to, and I think GiffTEC is part of that, a major leap forward of actually creating those better tools that people can interact with, and it's not that difficult to understand. I think it's a bit getting easier to understand over time with the kind of tools that we have. But continuing that evolution, making tools that give the user experience, make it accessible to the masses to be able to go in without having a college degree or watching 12 hours of videos, whatever, to be able to go in and use button push, get proper prompts, all of that kind of stuff. And I think that's where it will eventually go. But I think it'll be some brilliance that needs to come in that's able to develop and continue to grow that user experience for people, right?
And that's
Could Tetra be that tool? Could Tetra be that tool to help, like, for example, with GIF, when you automate it? So for people who don't understand it and can't sit in front of a computer, like, that would make it, I don't know.
It could, but it's more of a situation, I think, because I think Tetra in itself could end up being quite complicated for a user, right? You know, I reserve judgment on that because I haven't really seen that much about it. But, you know, I'm talking about more of a situation. Obviously, on-ramp, off-ramp, those two things are complicated processes. But then just operating within systems, right? You have some very easy systems that will earn yield, for instance, and then you have some very complicated ones.
Yep.
But having an all-encompassing DApp that allows you to handle the entire process, what you need to do with a few button clicks, that leads you through the process of getting to where you want to go, can show your potential profitability, show your potential risks. And then I do think it'll go there. I think it'll take time, but I think it'll get there. I think there will be designers coming in and being able to execute those things.
And funny enough, Maya just crashed and I just lost all the work I've done since starting the stream. Yay. But the difference is, right?
Yeah.
The difference is that like even learning from whales in the beginning, I actually learned TriFi a lot more than I have in my entire life. And the reason why I had to do it is because I was a student loan debt slave. I had to figure out something. And in that day, my first crypto buy was Regal Coin, all that dumb little Ponzi shit back in the day. But I knew that there was something there. And I realized that the world had moved faster than I was able to digest it and palpably get my way out of the hole. So I had to do something. Not a lot of people are in those positions. And when they are in those positions, they don't have a influence. It's not an influencer, right? Some talking bobblehead, someone they trust to give them that pedigreed set of knowledge. And as it's going to become more and more apparent, it's going to happen more and more. That's just the nature of the beast. There's no way around it. And it's going to be easier to have those conversations that, EVM transactions here, whether that's PulseChain, Solana, technically Solana is an EVM, but like any of those wrappings of what you need to actually interact multi-chain, multiverse AI is going to be the throughput that's going to be pushing in the next 3 years, 1 year, like fast.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think we're going to have ourselves a summer of burn, aren't we, with PGIF? I mean, just attaching itself as a toolbox instead of DeFi summer, the summer burn.
Summer, we're going to have multiple seasons, baby.
This is true. Just coining the phrase, though. I thought that'd be right up your alley, Briz. Summer burn.
I like it. The only thing that's wrong with it implies that the burn's going to stop at the end of summer.
Yeah, no fizzle. Yeah.
Now, that's the thing about permeable tech is that it doesn't care about your feelings. If you use the tool correctly, it does exactly that. There's no offshoot of funds. Everything's on chain. It does exactly what you wanted it to do for whatever you're using it for. Which is another further Richard Hart ideal, is that if you want to live in the future, you need to build it. And how do you suss out, change your worldview, digest what came before you, and then build that which you want to see exist in the future? And that's what Core from our side wants to do. And also give the tip of the hat to everything that came before.
Well, I love you all, guys. I'm living very much in a place of abundance for love for the people in this community. You guys, we got some good things coming for all of us here, regardless of what you're into, what sub community on PulseChain. And just want to wish you guys all blessings, man. Love you all. We'll catch you guys later.
Good to see you, Kinetics. Good to see you.
Bye, Kinetics.
All right. To replace Knipples, we're going to add us a gold key. What's happening, dude?
What's up, guys?
Gold key.
What up, gold key?
Sound up. How you guys doing?
Hey.
Good.
I've been deep diving GIF. Congrats on the launch. I love innovative tokenomics. So it's very, very cool.
Well,
You look like the Unabomber.
Oh, I don't know. Where's Golki at? There we are. So
Yeah.
It's really, and this is the interesting thing. I've been working with the GIF for a long time, and we're the other ends of the exact opposite coin. But we both see eye to eye on pillars, systems, use cases, sussing it out in real time, doing something that hasn't been done before, and do it component by component. Just like the proverbial thing, like how do you eat an elephant bite at a time? Well, guess what? The other thing is the pink elephant in the room, thing that you're not looking at. How do you do both at the exact same time and give yourself the back tested data to suss out if the next thing is right
Right.
the next thing to do is correct.
Yeah.
And if it had the proper return on use case that you thought it was going to, you also given time to mature. You
Yeah.
can't just like shit out a baby and expect it to like go to work, right? It takes time to walk, run, crawl, use training wheels, learn the value of things, and then be responsible to operate a car.
Yeah.
You can't go from A to Z.
So since it's launched, like, I mean, just, you know, because it is kind of an experiment when you put something out like this, like you don't
I would say that
you don't really know, but how has GIF worked? You know, because you theorize about it and then you put it out there. Like, how has it worked as you intended? Is there things that you've learned after putting it out, or
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. I can even roll through them. There, as each iteration, we build another pillar.
Mhm.
So again, the first pillar, when we were just dealing with Pulsar, is no leaky boat and well, simulation, not speculation, but creation, not inflation. That was the first pillar. And then from there, we moved into, as we were building, or quote, Pulsar, but we launched GIF as the GIF launched GIF. Didn't even tell hardly any of us on core. When he told me, I was booked for a week. I couldn't even open up my stuff. But we thought that was just a joke, just to suss out how to deploy a meme coin and see what would happen with sniper bots, all the rest of that stuff. We didn't even expect that to be the next iteration of the system. And then that entire time that we were talking about Pulsar, we clearly were mentioning this particular name. We weren't saying anything. I mean,
is Pulsar GIF? Or
No.
is it the same thing? Okay.
Now it's different. So Pulsar is how we bind to EVMs together, binded through GiffTEC. Okay. We hadn't even come up with the term GiffTEC, as in the Fallout TEC. Like me and my buddy Crypto Durpin, who's the best UI UX guy in the world, we haven't even gone through those simulations. We were still, you know, sussing out just the top spin for Pulsar. Right. And then we went on multiple other streams talking about Pulsar, and we started dropping things that if you were paying attention, you would know. Mm-hmm. And then it was like a stream with Hex Revisiting when Ali was talking about Pulse Wars. Did we even say the name GIF on stream? And that was maybe a week or 2 days before the GIF decided to launch PermaGIF, which was actually how we suss out how a flat ratioed buy and burn work together. And at that point, God, within a week, we hit it like 8% supply burn. Wild. Nice. And then that beneficial wallet who pushed us over 25%, because it was always the competition to get over whoever that guy was. And then whoever that beneficial person was decided to then mint all that supply to eGIF. Man, you
so it was the one. So I do have a question, because I just watched the explainer video. I had to watch it like a few times. Mm-hmm. But I did write down some questions just to like better understand it. So the 1 billion GIF supply, was that just like all put in LP, or was that minted? It was minted.
Well, it was created, right? And I think most of that was actually put into LP at the very beginning.
Okay.
Again, like I said, like he called me while I was on the phone with my boss, and I have a golden rule: I do not touch my crypto wallet when I'm busy or exhausted in the brain.
That's a good rule.
It's a very good rule, because I do not need to chase gains when I know what I am doing correctly, right? Yeah. And so, like, it almost took me 4 or 5 days, and we just thought this was sussing out how to do a sniper bots. We didn't even realize that this was going to be the coal that creates diamonds. We hadn't gotten there yet.
Yeah.
So all of that just happened. And then when we actually created the perma aspect, that's where we came up with the idiom and ideal of creation, not inflation, and really suss that out together, how it will work. It's because there can only be 1 billion, either GIF or perma GIF. However, every time that you touch the ability to create, not inflate, you automatically redactively remove the GIF, period, no cost. Now it does.
It's really more like destruct rather than inflate, because it seems both have a burn deflationary aspect to them.
Yeah, well, on top of that, the fun suss of that experiment too is that GIF technically is destroyable because of how it was created. You can't do that on GoPulse. Remember, anything, let me preface it this way. Hex is a meme coin until you put it into the T-share system. At that point, it actually can do everything else that you want. Yield, reward, penalize, carrot and stick, use icosahedron if you wrap it with an HSI, get communists on one side, get other airdrops, all the rest of that. If you just held liquid Hex, you were dealing with a meme coin. So it's a vanilla wrapper that had a key that could open a door. That's important to suss out and understand. And that's why that experiment was very fascinating, because we were sussing out what we could put it on, and not just on one thing that was set up for that layup, but anything to suss out on how we do that technology. And so putting it to the debt address, or any of there's a 369 debt address on, PulseChain, but we went to the DEAD address to, give a salute. It's interesting because now you've got the other side of what we can do in the future when tokens are programmed to be deleted, as well as used on another side where when you're looking at GoPulse and it says how much supply has been burned, it's just querying the debt address. It's querying where those tokens get locked. It's a reverse OA.
Right.
That's super.
It's also kind of a unique. So if you think about it, so typically if someone wanted to just swap for GIF to PGIF, that supply, the GIF that they are swapping for goes into, that LP pool. And so something I really like about this is, I don't know if you thought about this, but it's kind of like a unique, it's like a unique swap feature in that, it benefits both with that, that 10% fee with the Pulse, but it doesn't, necessarily the LP pool doesn't suffer. So I don't know. I need to think more about that piece.
Sure.
But I'm curious. So one question I had was why would someone buy PermaGIF and create the opportunity for other people rather than buying GIF and taking advantage of that opportunity themselves?
Sure. Well, I guess it depends on what you're trying to do with the system created. So for me, in my history as a truck driver, I realized that rubbernecking is a bad idea. I've already seen plenty of very, very bad accidents in my life. I don't need to see the thing on fire, slow the hell down, cause some other lunatic to go speed around and run the gun or do other crazy things that create a problem. If you use the tools correctly, you're a founder, not a holder. This is a very, very, very important mechanic and pillar, because the tools themselves will do exactly what they're supposed to do. So if you're worrying about arbitrage is a feature. It's good. You can use it, just like speeding down the road. You can do whatever you want when you decide to get in your car, drive one way or wrong way down the one-way street. You can drive straight instead of forward. The joke in truck driving, you can drive straight all you want right into the ocean. It's not going to help you. You're moving forward, not straight. And so you have to understand those things. So when you do decide, being benevolent or not, to mint your perma token, doesn't have to be GIF, it can be EICOSA, PICOSA, PLUSD, NOPE, all the rest of that. You are making that economic energy of that transfer permanently binded to that perma token, right? Bitcoin is proof of power. It's the economic power and the bindable tools of said power together, aka Ant Farm, all the rest of the fucking, mining pools, that actually allow it to control things at a particular weight and level. But doing that without the susceptibility of corruption. It's doing all of that. Go ahead.
Let me jump in, Larry. I think, Goki, were you asking, why would somebody buy PermaGIF?
Yeah, essentially, because
so let me answer that real quick.
Why would you buy
if it's
rather than
cheaper
mint?
than GIF? It's an arbitrage opportunity.
Yeah.
Period. End of story. That's the answer right there.
Could I field
It's
that?
cheaper.
Yeah,
than
actually,
GIF.
Rock is the better
It's
guy
an
to answer.
arbitrage opportunity.
Well, this is what I would say in any given system, right? This is absolutely 100% DeFi, right? We can have external messaging all we want through Telegram, through Twitter, whatever. But me as a user, I'm always going to seek out the positive move, period. If a move is gonna move me negative, it's not gonna happen. I'm gonna look elsewhere. So within any given system, if you are providing multiple opportunities for positive moves, those are the moves that are going to get made. And by the way, if those positive moves happen to have a way of feeding back into each other and supporting each other to create new positive moves in different areas, that's where it all comes into play. Yeah. So now you look at these kind of 4 linked systems that are set up, right? Right. I may be able to take my Pulse and buy LUSD mint stable, and then basically grow my Pulse bag so I have more ammunition to feed in, either back into this or feed it into Nope or ICASA or back to GIF, right? So it's all about the positive move for the user. The user's going to gravitate towards positive moves, right?
So I get the ARB from GIF to PGIF. I guess I don't understand. It kind of seems one directional in that, like, you know, if PGIF is more expensive, then you can mint and sell and, you know, buy back. I don't understand. Can you explain? Is there an ARB opportunity the other way from PGIF to GIF?
People are doing that. People are doing direct swaps both ways.
So I get it. So you would swap
if it's a positive move.
It does go back. It does go back. So you swap for that, and then you okay. That's awesome. Yeah, I do like this kind of duality of 2 tokens that play in each other. I think it's got a really good design. And honestly, like, I think so. You know, my 2 kind of first impressions were like, one, the deflationary aspect on both assets is very attractive, and then the 10% Pulse being placed on PGIF as well, I think is buy and burn is another really attractive. So like those things, like, you know, this system, that's why my first question was like, how is this experiment working out? Because it's a cool system of, like, you know, creating engagement, you know, for people to want to buy. There's incentive around it, and also fun dynamics, you know, that play out. So I love stuff like this. Like, this kind of tokenomics and stuff. And I like my couple of feedbacks would be, one, like, a product like this, I would love to see stats on this, like, you know, how much is being burned, what's the current arbitrage. I think, you know, someone that might be good to reach out to for this is Crypto Sloth. He built a really cool ICOSA app that kind of showed the there's some arbitrage or some, you know, dynamic that, or there was a ceiling, like you know, a price ceiling with ICOSA, and he built a really cool tool on that. I would love that with this, because it's like, as a, you know, if I was someone that wanted to take advantage of this ARB opportunity, it would be nice to make it really easy for people to be like, oh, there's this opportunity right now, maybe I should take advantage of it. So that would be a cool add to the website.
Sure.
But awesome. Yeah.
When has that? And then there's also Hex Model from Dev Huey. There's also HSI Watch from Jiyoung, by the way, indie game developer. Salute to you, always well fun. But all of that, I mean, the stats are being tracked on giffordware.win. But we're worrying about the actual deployment of things rather than when we actually strike on the UI UX. But here's the other interesting thing. As people go through the real process of creation, not inflation, you have now just redacted the other end of that ARB that makes one even less and the other one on the buy and burn more dynamic, which is what we did with iBurn. iBurn is 20% or 25%, I believe, maybe 15%. I have to look at the foot. Yeah, 15%. Whereas Noble and Stable is a dynamic floor ceiling price to their own economy, which is even more dynamic on top of it. So each strike, we suss, develop, and create based on the simple, easy things that we can suss out.
Right. Okay. I this thought just came to me, and I'm curious what would be the implications of. But what if you deployed a GiffTEC system on top of GIF itself?
That would be an interesting idea, wouldn't it?
That might be. I mean, I don't know how many layers of abstraction you could go, but that would actually be really kind of crazy.
This is the dumb thing about me, that I can do 16 steps ahead, which means it's very hard for me to do simple. But yeah, it's like that would be a very interesting system. That would be called systemic design, where you have multiple different gears and systems smashed down into one.
Right.
So yeah, that's a very interesting idea.
So I guess this is my last question. So, right now, because it's so new, I think there is opportunity for, actual users to see that ARB opportunity, take advantage of it. Do you feel like it kind of seems like a pretty prime opportunity for like a person to build a bot that would kind of insta ARB at every opportunity?
You mean Tetra? That I know the founder very, very well.
Did he build something?
I've been waiting for the MVP from Stu for a long time. And yeah, that'd be very interesting if you just put some complexity like me or Rock can do out of our head and then make it autopilot.
Yeah.
Now, it doesn't mean they have to understand the complexities of it. They probably should, but it can be done. Sure.
Yeah. I mean, so yeah, you could make it. So one thing I would like, this is just an extension. There's a new EIP out there. I think it's 4337 that you actually can batch transactions. This might be a really interesting use case. I don't even know if we have this on PulseChain yet. But essentially you could wrap the transaction of, either bot, like if you already have GIF, you could mint PGIF, ARB it, sell it, and then swap back in one transaction, which would actually be really kind of cool.
Or a sandwich attack at the same time, but doing it on the actual protocol side based on the IP. It sounds like, right?
Right. Yeah. So yeah, kind of batching those transactions would be a cool, cool use. But yeah, I love this. I mean, I think it's really cool, and it's gonna be more fun. Like honestly, I think this is really cool. You guys launched this, and we're still kind of in the middle of a bear, unfortunately, but like it's going to be a lot more fun when everything's going up, and that'll be a whole nother ball game with this whole dynamic. I think it's cool. Okay, I do have one more question though. So you've kind of built this as a tool that can be used on any asset. Do you feel that there's any dilution with adding more and more product, like creating kind of this new system for creating 2 new coins for every coin you add? Do you feel any dilution there, or do you how do you feel?
Sure, let me answer that. For example, if I have a particular dessert that's very expensive to make, and I'm making a whole bunch of other desserts at let's say a fast food restaurant or something, what do people focus in, and what is actually more expensive to create? Now, with each different idiom or role, you actually combine back into each other, but the question is like adoption of each tool.
Right.
In fact, I'm going to go smoke. Let's let Rock answer that, because again, he fellow game dev, and he probably can explain this simpler than I can.
I mean, look, based on my own thinking, really, I don't see any real issue with dilution of the systems in general, but it does. I think it does depend on which token is being supported. Right now, everything is supporting PGIF, right, and its own token, and of course, obviously, sending the base tokens or the input tokens for the minting over to the debt address. So now. I think it could get diluted if it starts, okay, now this one's going to buy and burn itself. It's also going to buy and burn, iBurn instead of PGIF. Right. I think that's where you could end up getting in trouble a little bit. But.
Yeah. When you introduce like iBurn, iBurn's the ICOSA, it's built for ICOSA, right? So in that system, I didn't get a chance to watch that video. Essentially, are you replacing GIF with ICOSA in that case, or what does that system look like?
Pretty much. It's
Okay.
it's basically ICOSA and iBurn, right? So
Got
it's the same exact system as GIF, right? You if you want to mint, you put in your ICOSA, you add the amount of pulse for the protocol fee. That pulse goes in to feed the system,
Got
right?
it. Okay.
Now the ICOSA gets sent to the dead address. It kind of goes away forever.
Right.
And then I think it's 85% of that pulse buys and burns iBurn or goes into the buy and burn for iBurn. And then there's 15% that goes back to the PGIF burn address.
Got it. Okay.
Or burn
Buy and burn.
contract.
Buy and burn,
burn
yes.
contract. Yeah.
Do you guys have any plans for any RH tickers with this system?
There's no plans.
No plans yet.
No plans. No, it's each community, each coin is going to be, accessed, looked at, and sussed out, and it's the thing about this system is that it's interactive, meaning that you've got to, in order for the system to run, the gears to turn, you have to be pushing the button.
Right.
So you need those people looking at that arbitrage opportunity and working it and making the system move. So it has to have some momentum behind it. So in order to do that, and if we don't all already realize and know this, it's the communities and it's the excitement and it's the people wanting to push the button, the people understanding and learning how to push the button that are pushing the button.
Right.
That's why you see meme coins going like they go, because they have communities behind them, because they, in Richard Hart's ecosystem, it's Reed's Law now. It's not Metcalf's Law, it's Reed's Law. We have groups of people pushing the button and moving their coins along. We are in a bear market. There isn't a whole lot of financial energy coming into this market. Like when we see a bull market, we see financial energy coming from the outside in, and it pushes everything up. Right now, we're seeing communities rally around tokens and getting excited about something and pushing their value into it. And that's what's happening right now. It has nothing to do with a macroeconomic view. These are small communities creating excitement. Now, if people can create excitement behind their own tokens during a bear market by utilizing this tool, which benefits itself because it's still market cap, it doesn't burn the token completely. It goes to a dead address, and it sends a buy and burn function through the other token that's coming on the other side, and it's creating a financial loop over on the PGIF side, which is the GiffTEC side. Then it's all kind of positives as long as people are in and pushing the buttons. Now, it's going to be interesting to see, in my opinion, what happens when the bull market comes and people are pushing the button all over the place and throwing darts at the board everywhere. That's when this thing could really, get humming and catch its wind,
Yeah. And I would say like the app I would build for, I mean, it's kind of like if there is ARB opportunity, like I think, if you've deployed with a bunch of different, on different assets, like being able to just push a single button would be so nice. Like you just kind of have a list, and it's kind of like the PulseX buy and burn, like where you just hit a button and there's the ARB opportunity there would be really cool. But yeah, I really appreciate you guys answering my questions. I think this is really, really cool.
I want to elaborate a little bit. Hold on. I want to elaborate a little bit on what RG3 said. And that is, so there is the aspect of the community that comes in, but also if the positive moves in that new token, new system added to this, if the positive moves are evident for users, that community is going to build, those positive moves will get made, and those positive moves will support the system, thus bringing in the economic energy, right? So this could actually help to build on an existing community as well, and I think that's probably happening with some of these that are there now because there's profitability there. There's clear positive moves, right?
Yeah. And it's more, especially with like, smaller cap coins, like a burn like this probably has more impact than say taking on like creating a pulse, that burn or even PulseChain. It's hard. I don't know if it would have as much impact, although it could as this scales, but I think it's really cool how you guys are scaling it with communities. I've been really deep diving because someone in our community brought it up for potentially one of our assets, which would be really cool because with stake pool tokens, if you burn them, like if you think about like a stake pool, you know, each coin holds ownership in a token. Well, if you burn one, that makes all the other pool tokens, you know, backed by more hex and redeemable for more at the end of the stake. So I think, you know, I'd love to talk to you guys more off stream about that in the future. But yeah, it's really cool.
Anything that pushes the hex ecosystem around.
Yeah.
I think the interesting thing still to be seen, at least from my perspective, because I've been keeping a close eye on this stuff from the very beginning. And I've been analyzing it from the very, very beginning, both as a user and just as an observer. But what I'm most interested to see is what happens when the number of users in these systems exponentially grow to the point to where now it's not just that everything's getting fed, but there are times, I think, especially now, where I might see the spread on one of these tokens open up, and I want to go feed Pulse in and mint and just kind of build that Pulse ammo bag up. That by the time I get through anything, it's already closed. It's already closed. It's already been used up. So I don't think that's a bad thing. But just back to your dilution thing, I'm most interested to see how users end up in some way diluting the ability for positive moves in the systems.
Right.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting to note too that the most successful, or I feel like the most robust experiment so far has been with the PLUSD community. And I think that's because the value of the token depends on diminishing the supply. And because there's such an oversupply, because it was minted to 14 trillion, in order for there to be any chance for it to peg even to the market cap of a PDI, that you would have to significantly reduce the supply. And that's why they're so incentivized to do so. And that's why they're so engaged.
So two things before Gold Key pops out.
Mindset of the community is a big thing there, by the way. There's a different mindset with those guys.
There are better tokens that fit in this model than others. There are some tokens that have a better fit for a burn function than others.
So the one thing, I don't know if I'm still live. Sorry, I'm on too many monitors at once. For what Gold Key was talking about, that is a destruction-based model. Like I used to call a Watsa, it's like a piñata, that once you crack it, all the candy goes away. And now the reward pool has a different market model. But just like when we started with Pulsar, which is a fair launch token, which is a very different inflation-based model that we're all sussing together. So when you combine all of those different conditions that we're building, creating, and sussing out together, so that way different deployments evolve with each different iteration, but yet support the entire perma infrastructure, that is where it gets really fascinating as a systems designer. And where, again, like Rock can explain it better than I can, the excitement comes on how we build protocol first use cases for tokens that are already there, tokens that can be destroyed, piñatas that can be cracked, and things that we can evolve together as we move through this DeFi for all mentality that all of us love and embrace.
Yeah, well, that is kind of the key, isn't it? I mean, you know, to me, the idea of decentralized finance is organic movement of markets and values, prices, and the whole thing. So, you know, again, what is going to, step one is what is going to prompt me to bring whatever capital I have in whatever asset into your system or protocol. And I do think it always points back to clear positive moves. I know I've said that quite a lot here, but that's what became very obvious to me on launch of PGIF, right? When we were writing to contracts to mint the tokens. And then I've mentioned this before with some of you, but you know, the idea of a safe neighborhood for me to actually bring my capital to. And I think, at least in my mind, Richard Hart kind of he established that with Hex and further built on that with PulseChain. And I always felt that my assets were in a safer place. Now, it's never going to be 100% safe. We know that. There's a lot of stuff that launches that can be the land of the wrecked. But I do think with better intended designers and developers, actually with that goal in mind, which we're starting to see quite a few, by the way, that are less tokens, more tokens for me, more value for me, and more about how do I create a place where we can all find value, where we can all bring our capital and feel safe, and we don't have to, or at least I don't have to make massive amounts of positive value. I just need to have positive value. It can be small over time. It can crawl up. It doesn't need to be parabolic, right?
100. And that's the interesting thing about not having a sacrifice, not having founder wallets, not having any of that other type of stuff with the GiffTEC core ecosystem on how we roll it. And so it's a protocol-based ecosystem that also works on every other token that person or that community or that group puts a protocol-based environment on what they hold near and dear. It's vastly fascinating.
A lot of founder get rich tokens out there, right?
Well, yeah, at the end of the day, if you use the tools correctly, you are a founder in GiffTEC. That's huge.
That's the idea. Having some sense of ownership over the systems that you see as your safe neighborhood, right? Because it is your safe neighborhood. It's your safe place to put your capital. Now you have incentive to keep that healthy, right? So in a sense, we all feed into the system as it is our token instead of, founder get rich token.
No, correct. Absolutely correct. And I don't know what I can actually leak, but something just got unveiled today that I cannot say. If you sniff around, you can figure it out.
You can do it.
Oh, is it? I've definitely been too busy. So,
come on, get it, spit it out.
All right. So the iBurn is decentralized now for the buy and burn. And we had people checking our contracts, watching us, trying to front run what we're doing. So we're trying to be very careful as we deploy each innovation, but we're also being exceptionally transparent about what we're doing. So at this last instance, I only got a couple times to look at it before I had to jump on something else. And right now I'm not even on the computer that I'm talking on, so I can't even see what I'm saying or doing. But iBurn, if you go to Icosa Burn Protocol or icosaburn.win, you now see a decentralized buy and burn, which allows a particular timer set for a user to press a button to increase the use case of it. And it had to be done very complexly through a multifaceted server. That way it was safe. That is the one thing that we try to do here, which Rock hit it right on the head. We want to build a safe neighborhood. Why? We're Richard Hart idealists. We came through that mythos and we all want to be one. We want to all win together. And there is no me in this. It's we.
And we also want to invite other people in to win with us. Yeah, that's kind of an important part of it, right?
Right.
And,
no, 100.
Yeah.
I think I got my exactly where I needed to, Rock, before it crashed.
I like your background, Crypto Kool-Aid. That's awesome.
I mean,
I'm jealous.
It took me like 200 hours to build. So, it took me a lot of time and a lot of assets. Cool. I just don't have the time to author it, so I had to go kit bash a bunch of stuff. But I mean, that's what I do for a living. Is what I'm actually doing right now.
It's much better than looking at the mess that is his desk when he's working.
It took me about 10 years to build my background.
Right. No, but I mean, that's the beauty of our ecosystem of merry band of misfits. We all come with a particular skill set, and we all come together and try to break bread, make stone soup, and do things together to help everyone grow unilaterally together. I use the Spartan reference: shield to spear, look to the man to your left. That's what you always do. And we have been taught that through Richard Hart. We have seen it through the ecosystem we have. We have the opportunity, because everything is so fledgling within Pulse, that you never had a L1 that's forked off of Ethereum that had a DEX happened at the same time that had multiple contracts forked over, that had multiple sets of tech all growing together as a unilateral village. And people that worry about the price or all the rest of it, I mean, Rock will he's much more senior than I am in the time in the dumpster fire of entertainment, but it takes a long time to build something and have it ripped away from you. What's that?
Nothing.
Well, I think the main point of developing user software, and in this case, it happens to be financial tools. If we're looking at it the right way, we're trying to develop financial tools. Yeah. And again, staying away from the founder get rich token idea or the pump and dump idea. But the idea, as designers, we have ideas always, whether it's video game, whether it's idea for a movie, doesn't matter. But you don't really know what the effect of your idea is on a mass of humans, right? Now, that's, I think, where we're getting to and where we have been getting to with PulseChain. It may be happening on other chains. I just don't see it as much. But having ideas that we think are going to work and putting them into effect and seeing what this actually does in the hands of humans, right? And this is, for me, this has always been, as a game designer, this has always been number one key, right? You might strike lightning as, oh, my ideas are all great. I put them out there into the wild, and 1 million users overnight, 1 million downloads on the App Store, whatever. But here, what this is doing, and what I think should continue, and we do see it in some other protocols out there on PulseChain, quite a few actually, is tweaking and iterating on our designs to get to that point to where we've achieved that place where people want to bring their capital to because they feel that it's safe there. Right?
Absolutely. I'm 100. I mean,
we've been talking about for a long time here is, these DeFi tools are now available because of PulseChain, because they're cheap and efficient to run. And again, and Rock, this, you're of a certain age too. There's nothing new under the sun. These things aren't new ideas. These things are old ideas, old things that have been happening for eons. We're only able now to take the positive externalities of markets, be whatever it is, whether it's sentiment or whatever, the mathematics that are positive in positive externalities in the regular markets. Now we can program them into our crypto, into our financial tools that we weren't able to find, we weren't able to program before. And like you said, now it's an experiment. And Kool-Aid has phrased it many times. It's not, we're not testing things on everybody. We're real time showing you what's going on. We're
developing proper development, by the way.
Yeah. There's a lot that goes on behind the scenes first to make sure that it works proper. And then when it goes out, it's like, okay, here's the use case. Let's see how it works. And, and let's move on to the next one and continue to build and grow and change and morph and go under, over, or around the son of a bitch until we make it work right.
Yeah. I will say, like, launching, I don't know. I've been thinking about this the past couple of weeks. Is PulseChain's a very rough place to launch actually innovative stuff. It's like, I don't know. I could write a book on just the, this evolution of Hexico to PulseChain, and going from a very I don't know, we talk about it all the time, but going from the single asset to an L1 blockchain, and I think it's still we're still overcoming a lot of the the traits that got us to where we were with Hex, defending it and holding it down as the asset, to now with an L1 blockchain for PulseChain to succeed. People need to use it, people need to build on it, and it's hard, man. It's hard for builders out here to put ideas out there, because there's a lot of people that I don't think they understand what what it requires to be an L1 community and to be inviting and to like support the people that are like putting blood, sweat, and tears into ideas and trying to make PulseChain unique and attractive. So, you know, props to you guys for taking that chance, because it's not easy. And you know, you guys had an awesome launch, huge pump, which is awesome. And I think, you know, it's a matter of seeing long term, but I still hold out hope that we're gonna have a bull market here and it's gonna be a lot more fun, but it's not easy, you know.
Well, let me give you just a bit of synopsis on that for what you were just saying. The first blockchain was ham radio. The first Bitcoin was EverQuest gold mining. The first NFT was a read-write attachment on an attachment on an email. The first DEX was the Azeroth auction house on World of Warcraft. You have to understand where you came from. And then, like RG was just saying, realize that nothing's ever been not done before. It's been iterated on. And using that alchemist fire, you can still move momentum forward. But you do have to understand the time it took to come to the particular level that you're going to use. If you're doing something that's copied or WYSIWYG'd, it's not going to have as much weight as it moves forward. Or someone that didn't invent that particular thing, like what's one wheel worth? Absolutely nothing. 2, you have a sled. 3, you're getting somewhere. 4 wheels, now you have a car. Or any other utility of a movement of structure. You have to understand what and why you're doing it, and then understand the dynamism that you're trying to create at the same time. And if you don't, you're trying to put literally the cart in front of the horse without understanding the wheel.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I definitely think, you know, we're definitely in kind of a closed ecosystem right now. And I think we can all kind of respect that. Like, we're not, we don't have a huge influx of capital coming in and user inflow. Like right now, like we're kind of, you know, we are kind of a closed community, but I think there is opportunity in that like when that day does come, when things get easier, and you know, I think the MEXC listing is one step there. Hopefully that kind of snowballs into other easier onboarding tools. You know, it's like the way I would describe how PulseChain is right now is we have such huge supply on the people that you know are willing to build and put themselves out there and spend time to build awesome stuff. But you know, we're just lacking on the supply side with you know, people coming over to actually use the stuff. And you know, I think once that gate comes down, like it is going to be a different ball game. And I think we're going to get there, you know, hopefully sooner rather than later. But you know, regardless, I do think that day comes.
Golki, are you familiar with what we're doing over at FanForge?
No, I'm not.
So FanForge is the entertainment strike. GiffTEC and FanForge are completely separate entities, but let's just say all of Core are also people over there. And Paul Lamone, the cinematic finisher for Blizzard for 26 years, the creator of Tyrael from Diablo 1, who has an incredible amount of connections. We're trying to build and bind the entertainment industry onto PulseChain. Period. Now think about that. What happens when you own entertainment? You own advert. What happens when you actually give people redeemabilities, royalties, digital rights management, and all the rest of that? Maybe even if they bought it on a credit card or some Stripe stuff that they haven't plugged in their wallet, that their NFT, that gives them that guaranteed Spider-Man 1 or that authenticity of a particular creator, ownership. Making other financial tools off of financial tools is great for people who like complexity. But if you want to be explained like I'm 5, what do you want to be? Entertained. There are many other dynamism dynamics that us behind the scenes are actually working to actually do that. And what better than entertainment, video games, writers, stories, creators actually coming together to build something entertaining? Why else do you watch TV, play a video game, or have any kind of escapism outside of your day job? Why are people toxic looking at prices? Because they've got nothing else to do with their time. If you had a protocol first or a mentality first token, you don't worry about what your 401k does. I mean, you can if you want to.
But by the way, I want to interject something here real quick, because it's not just looking at charts because they have nothing to do better to do with their time, but also looking at charts because there's nothing better to do with the value in that token, right? That is the whole. That's why all of my Bitcoin went into Hex back in 2021, right? Like, I'm no longer going to be at the mercy of the market. I'm going to find a way to take matters into my own hands by putting that capital into a token that could gain more value for me, which we all know in 2021 it did that quite well. But to me, that's the key, right? It's less about. It becomes less about token price and more about value and my ability to increase my value as a user.
Right.
And but I think sorry.
No, I was just going to say my opinion on that is, like, I give people a lot of knowledge and or things to watch, and they don't want to do the homework. I think the better way to engage them to do the homework is to watch something entertaining that they enjoy and love. And then they realize those financial gains, just like we learned when we had to learn what a T-share was. That was a very long 8 months, for us to figure out all of that stuff. And if it wasn't for COVID and the perfect storm of everything launching at the same time, not everyone would be there. Not everyone had the time. Not everyone cared to figure out how a webcam worked. All of that happened due to the perfect storm. And I think striking, or at least understanding that the strike on entertainment will have a crazy influx, not just of air quote fiat dollars, if you care about that, which is important, but also of user engagement that don't have to worry about the knowledge of fintech or TriFi or what an inflated dollar is. That takes time. But if they're within that ecosystem and they're incentivized to learn while being entertained at the same time, that's very fascinating to me as a simulation.
Yeah, I think that would be huge. If you guys lock that down, that would be awesome. And I think, because I do study kind of the other top chains, primarily I would say the top two I look at are Solana and Base right now, and just how they're approaching things, how they're growing, and actually probably Polygon too. But within those, like, what one aspect that they have is big partnerships, whether it's like Visa or whether it's some big gaming studio that they've locked down. Those things do get people excited. I think for me, the thing I've really been deep diving in Base this past week, and honestly, just the ease of use with Base versus PulseChain, and I'm looking at it from like a new user's perspective. It's just so easy to buy on Coinbase and have ETH in your wallet and then just instantly be able to like start using the stuff. Whereas like I built out or I wrote out PulseChain.wiki, which is this long form onboarding resource for people, but it's not like, I think it's doable, but it's just like it's not easy. And
it's the price of being first, man.
Right. It is. And that's what I'm saying. Like, I mean, again, like there is opportunity here in us being here early and building stuff, and kind of being first. There is first mover advantage here for everyone who's building. And it really does just take, I really do think it just takes like one
killer app.
Not the killer app. I'm not talking, like, again, I think we have huge supply of killer shit over here. It's like the one killer, like, okay, like it's kind of like you're plugging it in, man. Like once that ease of use
needs that Robin Hood.
Yeah, like where it's just like we can go from fiat to PulseChain almost instantly, and then use all this cool stuff we've been building. I think that's when it just explodes. Because
so here's to me what PulseChain has over Base. Okay. Now capital into Base is quite easy. Get capital out, right? Bridging in is good. Bridging out is like, why bother, right? So the PulseChain bridge is a very fluid two-way, because I may want to pull some of my PulseChain capital to take an opportunity over here, and also I may want to take gains over here and move it into PulseChain and put it into a farm or whatever, right? But correct me if I'm wrong, but bridging out of base is a long process, yeah.
Well, if you're using Coinbase's wallet, you can go directly back to fiat.
But I'm a DeFi guy, right?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I mean,
that's the whole thing about them having a war chest, and what we're doing over here is purely decentralized, especially for us and our
right.
team.
I definitely think we have
war chest.
We have the kind of like early Bitcoin narrative when it was like the US dollar is going to crash. Like you're buying Bitcoin because you think the US economy and the US dollar is going to crash. That did actually drive a lot of people. And I think that is one thing when you look at even Solana, it goes down all the time. And you look at Base that like isn't, decentralized. There is that aspect of like, we will outlive if things go to shit, like they like they typically do in crypto. PulseChain is going to be there, right? And I think we have that lasting capability. But if we're talking about like current cycle, what's happening in 2024, we are very early in what we've developed and the ways to get onto PulseChain. And so I don't know. It's like I'm looking forward to that day when it is that easy. But right now it takes a certain level of effort to get over and actually start using the stuff.
Sure. No, I don't disagree with you. I mean, let's just look at like GoX Coast is bound back live. What if they make the killer UI dApp on their phone that instantly goes boom, 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 just like Coinbase, and then everyone uses there? Nope. But it does take time, regulation, and not having the Winklevoss twins amount of money to be able to do that. Lobbyists to be able to do that. Since we're a protocol or a decentralized first chain, we need other people to come in with the blood, sweat, and tears, build, suss, create, and deploy at the same time. And I don't think the most onboarding is going to be done in the beginning, because it's going to take a lot of time, if we look back at the 90s, for people to understand what the importance of an email is versus a fax machine. Fax machines are still used. They're pointless. But where are you going to use a payphone? So
By the way, I want to talk a little bit about that Coinbase wallet a little bit and ask a simple question, and then give my thoughts. But the Coinbase wallet is tied to a Coinbase account, or is it intended to be a DeFi wallet?
It's both. I would say it's both. You can import.
So here's the thing. Here's the thing about Coinbase in general. I think I've dropped out.
No, you're good.
No, you're good.
Okay, am I back?
You're good.
You're in.
Okay. I'm operating through VPN because I'm in China. Anyway, so and that segues into this point. How much of the world's population, this is what I think about, how much of the world's population actually has access to Coinbase?
Sure. Let's use Tencent with that, because you can explain that even better than I can, good sir.
Well, first off, obviously here where I'm at, it's very difficult for users to fiat in, fiat out. KYC is impossible. And of course, KYC, I feel, is absolutely necessary. But with any kind of centralized exchanges and our ability to fiat in and fiat out, I just feel quite fortunate that I'm a U.S. citizen with a U.S. bank account and a U.S. address, where it becomes kind of seamless for me. But I think about the mass of
Are the Chinese not able to use Coinbase?
Oh God, no.
No.
There are no centralized exchanges.
What exchange do they? How do the Chinese get on into crypto?
They don't. They market. They P2P buy, or they find some other roundabout means. So it's just.
I guess that isn't like the retail. Like, so I don't know. I guess that isn't the retail opportunity, because I do feel like this next retail cycle, if it, I still think it's going to come, but you're looking at like, so it's not just Coinbase wallet. Like let's take Phantom, for example, with MoonPay, being able to just like instantly buy with a credit card, and you have, Sol in your wallet within minutes. Like I comparatively think about the effort that it takes to get onto one of those chains and start buying or using an app versus PulseChain. And, it's doable. It is doable. Like you can, buy on Coinbase, get in your MetaMask wallet, bridge over, maybe in hour two, you can make that happen. But you have to think like competitively, like if I'm a new retail user, where am I going to go? And so with PulseChain, it's got to be, the opportunity on PulseChain has to be so much higher than these other places that I'm willing to, put in that extra effort, that extra time to get over there. So, until we close that gap, it is going to take a lot more in-person onboarding, walking people through, onboarding your friends, which isn't necessarily bad, but it's like, is it going to be the virality that we're all hoping for? I think it's a challenge until that happens.
No, you're right. One of the things that I'm pointing to here is that I have a lot of friends who are impossible to onboard.
Right.
They've got the capital, can't do it. Just I've gone through hours and hours and hours and hours trying to sort through how they're ever going to get into crypto without me just selling my bags.
And that's the problem, Rock, is that people with money, the majority of people with money, the older generations, guys, they're the ones that we have to onboard, and they're the ones that are going to make this really pump, and they're the ones that are going to have a difficult time with this. And it's not, like Brissology just said, hey, what's the deal? You get into Coinbase, you get on a MetaMask wallet, and then you use the bridge. Yes, 3 very simple things to do, or not simple, but it's not complex, but simple. But get into Coinbase and have an issue with Coinbase, have an issue with getting your wallet set up, have an issue with Ethereum, getting held for a week or two or whatever. Right. There's all these little underlying issues in just getting into Coinbase. And for God's sake, if they screw up a MetaMask wallet or screw up their keys somehow, and sitting them at babysitting and doing it in a way that you're not exposed to their keys and all this other stuff. And then the bridge. Okay, the bridge is simple enough, but there are a few nuances on the bridge that you got to learn about too. And it's scary. You fucking send something over the bridge and it disappears for a while. Yeah. Sometimes a long while. Yeah. And sometimes a short while. But
at least you can see it getting validated though. There's always that.
Yeah, you see the number moving and you're like, okay. But so there's a lot of different nuances in the onboarding process that make it difficult and make it scary and make it hard to onboard people. Right. And that's the thing that we do need to break. We've been talking about that here, so we're blue in the face.
Yeah. For me, setting up the wallet is a 2-hour process. Yeah. For anybody that I'm home with, it is a 2-hour process, all the way from PC security, all the way through from step one. It's a lot to dump on people at one time. But Coast, I think, is doing a pretty good job in trying to exercise some of those demons, so to speak.
Yeah. Why can't it look like the back end of a bank account? Why can't we make it look simple and instead of all of these freaking code words for everything and just make it look like somebody's freaking bank account, for God's sakes.
It's governments that want to control capital. I mean, that's literally what happens right here where I am. A government that wants to control capital. I mean, at least in the US we're a little bit better, but I do think some of the EU countries are quite good with it. I do think Singapore is quite good with it. Hong Kong's trying to get there, right? But anyway, but that's always going to be there. But somewhere there's going to be a solution, because it's a worthy enough problem to solve that somebody somewhere over time, or maybe a group of people with iterating on different apps and whatnot, will solve it.
I think we're definitely on the precipice, because here's the reality: is like we are in a multi-chain world now. There's no denying that. fortunately, I do still believe that PulseChain is in the top tier of new chains, because I mean, there's like, I don't know, 1,000, blockchains now, all trying to like bring people over. I think we are on the precipice of people being able to use blockchains where it feels like you don't even know. It doesn't feel like, oh, I'm jumping over here and it takes me time. It's gonna feel like, oh, I just want to buy this asset. Boom, it's there. Hopefully in the next, I would say 3 years, just with the cross-chain messaging and the move away from bridges and more to, trustless solutions. I do hope we get there. I think our goal should be to be included in that list, that especially in the first movers list of chains, and I don't think we're there yet, unfortunately. I think we're definitely fighting through just some Richard Hart hate and some doubters and haters out there. There already is kind of a short list. Yeah, there already is kind of a short list of chains that are supported by kind of all mainstream products, like that are multi-chain, and we haven't broken through that yet. But I think it's really important for us to get there before kind of that next wave of multi-chain, where it's like, if you wanted to buy Pulse and you're on, base or whatever, it doesn't feel like a bridge.
Well, I think the major setup for that is teed up, and that's the SEC case that Richard has coming.
Yep.
If you guys really read into it and look at it, I mean, so we've got a Super Bowl team that has set up a minor high school league team up for the game. Richard's guys, his lawyers are, murderer's row when it comes to lawyers. And, and the SEC has bumbled, and now gotten themselves into so much trouble that they're losing offices. Gary Gensler's backup's up against the wall. And Richard's case looks really, really good. So for him to come out and do the things that he's doing in this case. So, I mean, some of the things that they're saying are precedent setting. So my hopes is that they're using this little flim-flamsy case that the SEC has brought up against him to bring up some real issues, to speak some real truth into the legal system about what crypto really is. And I think that they're looking to expose that. The freedom of speech, code is speech, not, something that needs to be regulated. So I think that Richard's really got things teed up well here, and he may end up garnering the favor of a lot of crypto by winning this case and doing a lot of good things with it. And I think that's what we're looking at. And that might be what puts PulseChain on the map as, like you said, one of those top tier chain, even though we know functionally it is a top tier chain. It needs that popularity. It needs the backing of the other people in crypto and mainstream and all that, the retail investor coming in. So
if this case makes him a hero, then makes RH a hero. That's really going to shift the narrative.
I think at the very least, if he finds absolution in this thing, PulseChain, there's no telling where it can go, because again, as a set of financial tools, it's really, really good. Right. And plus the fact that now you've got a lot of really good designers and developers creating things in this system that I don't think can be seen in other places. I think Gold Key might know better, but there's a lot of stuff that I see over here that I don't see in other places.
No, 100%. And even on base, we're much more developed as far as DeFi goes than they do. They have just like a few just unique advantages over us, which would be like obviously having Coinbase, which is a $1 billion company backing them. And
well, that's the monster advantage, having Coinbase.
The thing that feels cringy about that to me is that it's just moving what's supposed to be decentralized back into centralization. Right. And I mean, that was the thing with Bitcoin back in the day. It's like, well, this is supposed to be a decentralized asset, but in essence, it's very centralized. Yeah. I mean,
and to be honest, like I'm going through an interesting kind of just progression in how I think about things, because you know, early Hex, like Hex was really the first crypto that got me in and kind of set my paradigm for things. So, you know, when you talk about like real DeFi and trustless DeFi, that set the stage for me. And it's taken me time to kind of like not break away from it, but just like objectively look at other things that aren't that, right? Because there is a level of trade-off with centralization with all things. I mean, most things we use outside of Hex, if we're being honest, like, you know, whether it's DEXs or whatever. So for me, when I look at Base and I look at the decentralization of the chain, and I look at, you know, the ethos of DeFi and products, like there is this balance between wanting what I want to exist, which is like DeFi trustless everything, and what is going to bring the world on chain, which is kind of their ethos of like making it so accessible that like everything's brought over. And I think, you know, I'm kind of in the middle there, and I'm learning from their approach. I'm trying to find like this middle ground, and there are trade-offs with, you know, with trying to find that. But I do think that they are positioning themselves really well to be able to bring in retail very easily. And I think we win if we figure out how to bring them over to what we believe in, which is true DeFi, which is, you know, long-term. And so, yeah, that's kind of where my mind's at right now.
There is something that I want to bring up that doesn't get talked about a lot, that is one of the most obvious ways to get capital onto blockchain. And that's P2P. And most of them have fallen along the wayside, peer-to-peer markets and dApps, and they've all been kind of regulated out, which I think is just disgusting. But finding that way to set up a truly trustless P2P, and I think there have been some in the past. I've used them, but you know, nobody really seems to be focusing on that aspect of, you know, of getting capital in.
Right.
Yeah. So I don't know why it's died the way it has, but it was the easiest way to get capital.
One of our DEXs is trying to open an OTC trading
That'd be great.
platform.
Yeah.
That it's, I mean, any on and off ramp, it's a huge challenge as a builder to take that on. And so I do respect.
I agree.
I do respect Coast for trying to take it on.
Look what they've done. Yeah.
Yeah.
You have
like
to deal with TradFi and all
it's
the
hard.
regulation. It's impossible.
Right.
Yeah,
And honestly,
if they're okay, because
Coast has done amazing. I've watched that project since launch, and they've just done an amazing job of, you know, partnering up with the banks to handle the fiat transactions. Watching all of this the whole way, I was a bit disappointed to see them down for a while, but you know, absolutely understood why. You know, but for me, it's a safe haven. It's always going to be there if I need it. Yeah, always.
So for me, it's like, you know, it. So again, respect to them. I do, as an investor, as a user, it is going to take a little bit of time for me to, you know, want to use their platform just based off of like that. I don't know. I think we all kind of are a little skeptical of everything. So it is going to take a little time for me to see it work and last a little while before I use it. But I think there is power in, you know, as builders, Rock, it seems like you're someone that's like, rather than like use someone else's thing, I want to build it. And I'm kind of that same way. It actually, it takes a lot for me to like trust someone else or like wanting, you know, incorporate. It's like, and I think most of PulseChain is like that, honestly, like rather than like partnering or like collaborating, we're like all builders at heart. And I think something that will elevate us is trying to look at what is getting a lot of users and bringing in a lot of money and trying to attach ourselves to that. So for me, it's like, in this multi-chain world, it's like, I think we as Hexicans have this mentality of like, now we're PulseChain maxis and everyone needs to use PulseChain. Everything else sucks. When really, I kind of talk about this a lot. Like, we need to figure out how to become a valuable node in this multi-chain network, where
Absolutely.
we
and that was Richard's message from the beginning.
That's absolutely correct. And the key is fluidity, right? And,
Right,
and
fluidity.
that's where the problem is, right?
Mhm.
So good points, by the way.
Yeah.
We have some talking heads out there, like you said, maximalizing and saying, no, this pulse chain or no chain, fuck you, and it's not that. It's Richard said, I'm doing this to help Ethereum.
Right.
When he says help Ethereum, that means he wants to live alongside it.
But Richard Hart also said money goes where it's treated best. Capital goes where it's treated best, right? And that requires fluidity for a user.
I do think we need to figure out our unique value proposition, because this is something I do think on the growth of PulseChain and where we fit into the broader ecosystem. And I don't like, okay, so that narrative of helping Ethereum, I think it is kind of an uphill battle. And I'm just being honest here, I think it is a little bit of an uphill battle because Ethereum has kind of laid out how it plans to scale, and it pivoted towards rollups. It pivoted towards L2s, where Vitalik basically said, we're opening this door, build this way. And so, when you're talking about like scalability and things that Ethereum's actually going to support, they are pushing towards, even with their EIPs and making L2s more efficient, they are supporting those. Whereas like as a fork of Ethereum, I don't know. I don't necessarily know if we fit into the scaled path. So we are kind of the dark horse over here a little bit, although we do benefit from everything that Ethereum,
the EVM,
the EIPs that Ethereum's launching. We need to figure out something unique about us that isn't low gas fees, because everyone has low gas fees now. And I think this is a hot take, but I do think we need to move away from the world's largest airdrop, which is kind of lingering. I think that could bring some people over, but overall, I think that didn't play out how it could have if we onboarded actual protocols to bring their products over. So for me, like the things I think PulseChain really has going for it is that we have this insane builder community of people that are dreaming up ideas and taking the chance to actually put their ideas out there. I think we need to shift. There's a lot of community members that are so like vitriol against builders when it's like, okay, as a builder, dude, as exploring base and just with their ongoing like on-chain summer, I feel drawn. Like, I'm like, oh my God, they actually want me over here. Whereas like PulseChain, I'm like, I bring a new idea to the table and they're like, get the fuck out of here. We hate you. I'm like,
I do.
What do you
By
want?
the way, I do think that is a problem that will soon enough go away, because it will become clear to everybody that there are things that can be done that will change the world for us and other people. Now, my thinking, when I think about PulseChain, like there's two foundational things that I think about, and one of them is innovation. Now, it's not unique. We know that it's not unique, but innovation really to me started with Hex and has continued on through, but it's a mindset that has flowed through this community, I think, since Hex, because it started people thinking about, there's different ways of doing things, right? So there is innovation, and although this also happens on other chains, I do feel a very uplifting freedom to transact, because I'm not getting my head ripped off every time I transact. I can actually just try things, without any huge consequence. So at least for now, those are the two things that I see as being the value over here. And we see a lot of innovation taking place. A lot. I don't think it's a lot. It's a fair amount of innovation that's taking place over here, right? through a lot of communities, and obviously the general Hex PulseChain community not stifling that would be good. And I do think, like you said, it's gotten better.
Yeah.
So
I think one of the things that, when we started with GiffTEC and why we started with Titan X is because it had a built-on Titan X mentality. And we, between GIF and I, could suss out all the different mechanics, what was borrowed, what was done, talked about it ad nauseum over way too many videos. But the build-on mentality is very, very important to embrace other builders, to continue to reinforce a protocol first-based system, a decentralized based system. And, as Kennedy said, we go to the moon, not because it's easy, but it's hard.
Yeah.
And that is important, but it does take a little bit more time, especially when we're doing it on more or less our own blood, sweat, and tears, not on some fiscal BlackRock or any other monetary value. We have to all bring in all the economic energy and the time and the innovation and do it right all at the same time. And again, we go to the moon because we choose to and because it is hard.
Yeah. Crypto Stylist, what have you been interested in lately with PulseChain, and what have you been exploring?
I've really been exploring the PRC, the copies in those worlds, and the ones where you see it, if you actually start to explore like the top 20 ERC20s, and you can see that there's activity on PulseChain. They're ones that everyone's talking about, and there's a lot that people aren't talking about, and you see a lot of transactions happening, and you see that there's a market cap that's actually built up quite high. So there's things happening on this side that maybe people aren't talking about. So I've done like a super deep dive into that. And then and just really understanding like where the opportunities are, and then also really engaging with other communities. So a lot of this stuff, like per what RG3 always talks about, Reed's Law. So I, talk a lot and engage a lot with the PTGC community, with those guys. I think that what they're doing is really interesting, and just really, with obviously with I'm here, so with GIF, so really just understanding like what's happening in that world. And then the Atropa ecosystem, I've been interested in that since last summer and when watching it. So there is a lot that's happening. There's a lot that's come to the forefront and that people are really, really talking about, excited about. And there's stuff that's bubbling underneath that I can feel it. And I talk to enough people to where I kind of, point it in the right direction, and then I do my own homework. So that's awesome. What I'm doing. Yeah,
that's so cool. I like with the PRC 20s. Like, I think I had a notion about what it would be, which essentially, I think I came from the perspective of Hex that, because Hex was forked and it's a trustless product, it just worked, right? And there's assets that were forked over that don't work as they worked on Ethereum, and yet they've gotten a lot of traction with people, which has been really interesting to me. Like with whether it be PDI or now PLUSD, it's like I actually don't, if I'm being honest, I don't really fully understand what's driving that. Like, I think it's just kind of maybe the PulseChain narrative of these forked assets, but it's really cool that it's played out to be something of value that I maybe I don't understand enough yet, but it's cool that people are using these assets that were forked over, and that's awesome that you're diving into that.
An interesting thought is that if you go in and to Dex Screener and search any ERC20, you will also be exposed to the PRC20.
Totally. That's so true.
That's cool too, by the way.
It pops up and I'm like, wow.
Oh, this is on PulseChain. Okay, let's take a look and look at the chart.
30 million already. I'm like, what? Like, nobody's talking about this. How is this happening? So I'm trying to get like shark and dolphin positions, and it's like things that I feel are interesting. Yeah. You can do that now, whereas a year from now, it would be much more expensive.
One of the nice little tools that I use over there is the left panel where you can input a dollar amount or a token amount to see those values constantly change. And anytime I'm getting a new look at a chart that I haven't had eyes on before, is I just plug in a dollar amount and I just leave it there, and I go back there and I look at it over time, and it's gone up, it's gone down, it's dumped to zero, whatever, before having to actually dip my toe in, anyway, blah blah.
Yeah, for me, like I will say one of the things that kind of held me back and kind of still holds me back about the PRC20s is the fact that kind of what we saw with Pepe, and when the farms were created, one of the, I don't even know his name on Twitter, one of the big Pepe holders was like, you can go over here and dump it on these people and make money. And so I do kind of hold this fear, if I'm being honest, of just like, okay, I know a lot of PulseChain community has bought into this, and so there is like real demand for it, but there also is kind of always this lingering risk of one of these people, whether it be PDI or LUSD, coming over and just being like, oh my god, I hold $1 million of this, and just like dumping it, and they didn't contribute to the buy pressure. So that is one fear I have.
But if you think about it, it's no different than the sacrifice and what we're dealing with.
Yeah, and I mean, why wouldn't they?
There's just like
if it was me, I would do it.
Yeah. Dumping, and it takes a long time to rinse it out, but then it will stabilize at some point. Because there are these communities on this side of it, on the PulseChain side. If you follow these, if you go and follow these Telegram groups for like Steth and PLUSD, they're hardcore, and there are people in there, and they're active. So they really believe in this or making it happen, and that's how it happens. That's how PDI started. When it started, it was so like cowboy wild west, and then now look at it. So
that's I had a pretty. I mean, I've kind of bumped heads with the PDI community since the get, just because there is this element of with the PDI community specifically of claiming that it is a stable coin, and that that it will peg because of the code. And to me, like, I'm fine with the meme of PDI going to $1.
Yeah, same.
But like to tell people that buy this because it's in the code that it will peg to $1. I did have that is one thing that like morally I'm like, you're lying to people. It does not work the same. But I do wish you the maddest of gains on PDI, and I do hope it goes to $1. That would be an awesome narrative. But just don't you don't need to spin this narrative that it works the same, because it's not. And
it's an experiment.
Right. They're all of the fork stable coins are meme tokens, period. Right. There's no way around it. Right now, obviously the cool thing is now LUSD becomes less of a meme since GIF has built onto it, I think. But we have stable coins on PulseChain.
Yeah.
We have them. I use them all the time. Yeah.
Is my mic live? Sorry, I'm trying to fix monitor to see if I'm actually live. All right, great. So here's the one difference, right? Bonded ratios in between multiple things is what air quote pegging is. People are fascinated with the narrative of what $1 is, but that's still a fiat currency. It's still inflated to $1. It's actually not a stable coin whatsoever. But
it's how we pay for burgers.
Sure. But when you use creation, not inflation, your perma asset that's building and binding off of that particular narrative is a completely different dynamic and a completely different tool that you have, which also is fully decentralized, automated, all the things that you would want to have a Richard Hart ideal asset built on something that can get closer to binded ratios. With any stable coin that can mint a stable coin, you have that particular ceiling to accomplish. But as you're building that hype, that narrative, all the rest of it, you still get a perma asset. That perma asset is a completely different dynamic that you created with that economic energy while helping your base underlying community of what you're trying to do at the same time. Even if you don't take part in any perma assets on GiffTEC that we do deploy on something, your native token, by doing nothing, actually helps itself. It's what I call liquid reverse staking, because you have the freedom without having a time block to do whatever you want with the asset. But those bindable mechanics that you get with the perma asset are also what you get by using the tools correctly. If you use the Trello tools correctly, you are a founder, not a holder, not a Jeet. You are using the tools correctly and getting a benefit out of doing that.
Or better yet, I would steer away from using the tools correctly. I would say using the tools as intended, as designed, because that really is the key. And it's up to us as designers to actually make the design that incentivizes through whatever means users to use that system as we designed it to be used.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. I mean, that's why you go with the the moniker. If you pay people to be entertained, you have pure market fit, not product market fit. Because not only are they entertained, they're learning, they're financially getting everything. They win across the board. We are on our side trying to strike towards it. But remember, it takes time and it takes iterations to move through.
It takes time and development is iteration in my view.
Absolutely, sir.
Yep. All
Great
right,
insight
ladies and
here
gentlemen.
from Crypto Stylist and Gold Key. Thank you guys for your
Thank
input.
you guys. Gold Key,
Yeah.
it's so good to see you.
Good to see you
enjoyed
too.
that. I enjoyed
I hope
that
you're
a lot.
doing well.
Kool-Aid and Captain, always.
Good to see you. Good to see you all. Good to see you all. All right, everybody. Thanks for coming. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Yeah.